Hello friends, I'm Manuel and I am 65 years old today. I spent a huge chunk of my life wearing a uniform that promised order, believing in a system that valued service. Now, I sit in this old house, listening to the hum of a refrigerator that has less to cool every week. It's a heavy silence that makes me wonder where the peace of retirement went. Before we go further, please consider subscribing to join our community. This house has transformed into a mausoleum of unfulfilled expectations. I no longer recognize the streets I patrolled, nor the frantic rhythm of a society that forgot human dignity. Have you ever felt like a stranger in your own neighborhood? It is not that I lack the will to contribute. The system has decided I am no longer a useful gear. My social security check evaporates before the second week of the month. Every utility bill is a cold reminder that my autonomy is being choked by invisible hands that never knew sacrifice. How is it possible that after 40 years of contributions, I must choose between eating well or turning on the heater? It is not a personal failure. It is a systemic collapse that despises experience. We are programmed to be obsolete at 65, but I refuse to accept that verdict. I see a veteran who still has strength, yet I feel the erosion of freedom. You watch inflation devour your savings, while bureaucrats argue in air-conditioned offices. It is a silent betrayal. Have you felt that cold anger, seeing injustice disguised as public order? The emptiness of a silent house is a dangerous trap. I thought the greatest danger was in overseas missions. How wrong I was, believing in structures that ignore old soldiers. The current enemy sends bank notifications, telling you that your life is no longer your own. I sit here looking at bills, wondering when the world became so heartless. The local government finds a new way to pull me into the mud. Inflation is a thief that creeps into my kitchen and steals my food. How is this living in a free society? My father said if you worked hard, the system would respect your dignity. Now, I see those rules were written by people who sit in offices, adjusting interest rates while my savings evaporate. Is this the reward for 40 years of service? Ridiculous zoning laws treat my backyard like a prison. I wanted to build a garden shed, but they demand expensive permits that cost more than the materials. How is this freedom if I am not allowed to be self-sufficient on the land I own? Last week, I asked about a property tax exemption for veterans and was treated like a nuisance by a young clerk. He didn't see a man who served, he saw an aging file. Why does the system despise experience in favor of bureaucratic algorithms? It is a silent betrayal that eats at your soul. You contribute to a social contract only to find the terms changed mid-match. The neighborhood is filled with people glued to screens who won't make eye contact. We have lost deep human connection. I choose between the heater or a piece of meat. It is a degrading calculation no veteran should make. Grocery prices are a cruel mockery of the fixed income they told us would be enough. Who decides how much my life is worth? Every utility bill feels like a letter telling me I don't belong. They use technical terms to hide corporate profits while my lights stay off. It is legalized theft, and politicians look the other way. How much more are we expected to take? My old medals feel like relics from a civilization that no longer exists. They won't pay for truck repairs or stop the roof from leaking. Dignity cannot be eaten, but without it, every meal tastes like ash. Something has to change before bitterness devours my spirit. The healthcare system gives appointments for months down the line, while bombarding us with ads for private insurance. It is a constant mockery of our intelligence. What happened to taking care of our own people when they get older? I feel like an outcast in a society that values digital appearance over physical reality. My skills to fix engines have no value in a market that cares about clicks. They mock what is ancient, not realizing they are at the mercy of technology that will fail them. The emptiness gives you too much time to dwell on failures. Hard-working neighbors have withered away, accepting this fate as unavoidable. They console themselves with trash television and empty political promises. I refuse to let my spirit be devoured by passive bitterness. I started digging into the fine print of regulations. It is a bureaucratic trap to keep us in perpetual dependence, paying endless fees. They want us in concrete boxes where we are easier to monitor and tax. It is a war of psychological attrition. The enemy now has no clear face. It sends bank notifications and legal threats that slowly choke your autonomy. It is a cowardly way to fight a war against aging citizens. Why should I ask for permission to be free in a country I defended? They spend billions on projects that do nothing for the common man, while we struggle for basic necessities. Is this the peak of our civilization? I walk through the city centre, surrounded by fake lights and noise. Everything is designed to extract your last dollar. People are glued to screens, never looking into the eyes of those suffering. We have lost human connection to cold algorithms. The lack of a real purpose kills men of my generation faster than any disease. We need to feel our actions have a real impact. The system offers empty leisure while it consumes our time. I seek an occupation that restores the light to my tired eyes. I have spent nights looking for cracks in this system. Every possible solution is closed by a new regulation. It is incredibly frustrating to feel your hands tied by invisible threads of paper. But I will not let discouragement become my permanent state. The local bureaucracy is a modern tyranny. They use infinite forms to wear you down. But I am a veteran, and I know every system has its weak points. I realized I don't need their permission to exist with dignity. That spark changed everything. We are programmed to believe we are obsolete at 65 to make us go quietly. I refuse. If the system won't give me space, I will build my own refuge. The economic system is not designed for us to prosper. It is built to keep us paying for services we can barely afford. Every electricity price raise is a theft of personal freedom. It is a constant pressure that never lets you breathe. How is it possible that after 40 years I choose between food or heat? It is a total systemic failure that despises experience. I see the trap, and in the next video, I will show you how I decided to break the chains. Last night, I stared at a property tax assessment that felt like a ransom note. It hit me that I was working into an early grave to maintain a pile of bricks the state owns. I am done paying for a slow, suffocating expiration. I have decided to stop playing their rigged game. Loyalty to the system doesn't buy peace. Peace comes from owning your time. Today, I am reclaiming my agency and refusing to let bureaucratic walls dictate my worth. The plan is absolute. I am selling this house. I am taking what little equity I have left and moving toward the frontier. It is terrifying to walk away, yet it is the first real breath I've taken. Neighbors might think I've lost my mind, but I see a veteran choosing his own mission. Fear has transformed into a sharp determination. I don't need their permission or pity. Simplifying my existence is a radical act of rebellion against consumerism. I'm mapping rural areas where government reach is short. My truck is becoming my mobile base. Every object I sell makes me harder to track. This is a strategic repositioning toward a future where my hands are useful. I am trading artificial safety for the raw reality of the backcountry. I have already faced a life of quiet desperation. Now, I head toward the horizon. I hammered that "for sale" sign into the lawn with a heavy heart. I spent 3 days dragging accumulated junk for a yard sale that drew vultures. They picked through my memories while I watched my life vanish. When closing papers arrived, the bank and state were the only winners. After 40 years of mortgage payments, the equity check felt like an insult. Bureaucrats took their fees, leaving me with just enough to fund an escape. I spent nights researching vehicles that could handle backcountry roads. I didn't want a shiny motorhome. I needed a workhorse with a solid frame. Finally, I found an old, beat-up trailer that looked truly rugged. The trailer was a disaster, but the chassis was honest steel. I spent 2 weeks replacing the suspension and sealing entry points. My back ached, but every tightened bolt felt like reclaiming my autonomy. This is a tactical mission for survival. Installing the solar array was the hardest part. I taught myself basic electrical engineering. Generating my own power without begging the utility company is a victory against the grid. I was ruthless with what I kept, prioritizing heavy-duty tools and survival gear over sentimental trinkets. My footlocker is packed with seeds, water filtration, and a medical kit. The weight of my burden is utility. The morning I pulled out, the suburbs looked like a suffocating dream. Cookie-cutter houses faded into the open fields of the heartland. My truck groaned, but the engine hummed with purpose. I am a ghost in their system now. I have been sleeping in hidden forest turnouts, my body tired in an honest way. Finding food and water without relying on corporate chains keeps my mind sharp. I am scouting remote parcels of land where the dirt is capable of growing something real. Do not think this journey is easy. Freedom requires an incredible amount of work and willingness to be uncomfortable. I am exhausted, but I have never felt more alive. In the next video, I will show you the specific land I found. I hope you find the courage to see where the system drains your spirit. Leave a comment if you have thought about walking away to start over. We are building a community of survivors who refuse to be discarded. Stay strong. Let's rise together. I stepped out of the truck and felt my boots sink into the damp earth of this mountain clearing. The air smells like ancient pine and honest stone. My lungs finally expanded. It was a silence that welcomed me home. The crushing weight I carried wasn't my age. It was the pressure of a system demanding submission for hollow security. Losing that house was my greatest victory. I ran my fingers through the dirt, feeling the potential of this wild space. There are no zoning laws here to tell me where to plant my garden. The cold wind felt like a baptism of reality. This is the raw canvas of my new life. The anger has settled into a deep sense of purpose. I am no longer a line item on a spreadsheet. I am a man with a patch of ground that answers to the seasons and my sweat. I am not waiting for permission to exist with dignity. This journey was about running toward the person I was meant to be. If you feel that heavy silence, the frontier is out there waiting. Next time, I will show you how I am setting up my first permanent shelter. Let us rise together. True security was never found in a bank card or a bureaucrat's promise. Real safety exists right here in the calloused palms of my hands and the independent power from solar panels under the open mountain sky. We were told if we played by rigged rules, we would be cared for. But that was a lie. The system was built to discard anyone no longer profitable. You are struggling due to a calculated systemic betrayal that thrives on making us feel alone. There are thousands of you feeling that same cold weight. Speak up and share your stories of struggle and dreams of autonomy in the comments. We are forging a tribe of survivors who refuse to disappear quietly into the shadows. This journey is the first spark of a much larger fire. Every time we choose self-sufficiency, we reclaim our stolen dignity and prove experience has value. Do not let paperwork convince you your life is over. Make sure you are subscribed so we can continue this vital mission together. The frontier is a state of mind where we stop asking for permission to live with honor. In my next update, I will show you my storage cellar. Keep your eyes on the horizon. Let's rise together.